The E-Myth.
What's going on, good people? So you thinking about being an entrepreneur, you thinking about going out there and starting a business. Well, just because you're good at cutting hair, don't mean you need to start a barber shop, right? Just because you have a certain skill, be able to do a certain thing, doesn't mean you can go out there and create that business. Just because you can wholesale a deal doesn't mean you can run a wholesale business. So today we're going to talk about the book called The E Myth and this idea of the entrepreneurial myth, that just because I'm good at baking cakes, that I should start a bakery, right? That's just a myth, right? A lot of people say that, a lot of people try that. You see a lot of people failing, and we're going to talk about today why they fail, what you can do to not fail, and why you might just be the perfect candidate to start a business that you probably don't even have real skills in right now. So let's jump right into it, man. Cordero, how you doing,
Dude. Dude.
man?
Man, dude. We thugging it out. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, man. We thugging it out, man. We thugging it out, man. But I'm feeling good. Like I was telling Byron, I think this like really just embracing this feeling, and that usually for me, I don't know if it's true for Byron, if it's true for everybody else. Usually for me, when I feel like, and I'm saying the word feeling like it's all about your feelings or emotions in business, but your senses are indicators for what's going on around you. And when I feel like this or I feel like that, like I ain't even gonna say pressure, just like ready to just be like, come on, man. That's usually a sign that something great is about to happen, but it's a fork in the road situation too. It's like
Oh, you about a fork.
you can hang it up or you go harder, and then again, that's when we talking about leveling up, like next level, next
Yeah.
level. Next
I
level.
think it's just like making adjustments. You know what I'm saying? With everything you do, you have to make adjustments. It's not, you just have to make the adjustments. You make the adjustments and you're good. So, but yeah, man, I think today, man, we're going to talk about entrepreneur myth. Let's shout out a couple of people. We got Zay in the building from the land. Bob Max said, "Hey, what's up, fellas? Um, do you guys use Bank? Just curious. I know Cordero used Bank Dollar. Neither. I don't think he used Bank Skip Tracing. I know I don't use Bank Skip Tracing. I don't use the Skip Trace. I don't use the Texan. I don't use anything on Batch. But I would recommend the Batch Dollar. Right, the Batch Dollar. I think my personal opinion is that's the best. But yeah, so let me see what's going on IG, man. People tapping on IG. Welcome in, welcome in. But man, this entrepreneurial myth, this idea that hey, look, man, if I'm good at this, this thing, I should try to start a business that I'm good at. It's like I wasn't I wasn't good at wholesaling. I'm not good at sales. Like I never did anything in sales ever, right? I never did anything. I never, coordinated a real estate deal. Wasn't good at it, right? But like the idea that you should start something that you're really skilled at, a lot of times it backfires. Why? Because you feel like you're so skilled at it that you ought to be doing it, right? And in business, that's just not the case, right? The guy who started McDonald's, Ray Kroc, was not a gourmet burger cooker, right? It's like a lot of people who start these businesses, they're not the greatest, whatever it is. They don't have the best skills in whatever it is they're trying to do, right? A lot of times that can lead you down the wrong way. Like we saw Steve Jobs and some other people who even like Thomas Edison, like you can go all the way back. A lot of times this is because it's not about your skill at that. It's your ability to put together a business that's profitable in that industry, in that area or whatever. And how do you put together a business that's profitable? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about here. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Putting together a business that you can actually be profitable, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? Doesn't matter what you're doing. You got to know how to be profitable when running a business, right? And the number one things you're going to need when it comes to running a business is you're going to need leads, right? You're going to need people. You're going to need customers, right? You need to figure out, first of all, you got to figure out is the demand for whatever it is that you're trying to provide, the service. And when I was looking into wholesaling, it's like there was a high demand for people who wanted a cash offer on their property. And there still is. Like, you know how many properties there are in America? It's tons of them. And there's a lot of people who need or want to sell their property cash because they don't want to put it on the market because they property needs to be sold as is and can't get approved for financing. So there's a lot of people who need to sell their house cash. So the first thing you need to do is figure out, okay, is what I'm doing even in demand, right? Is there a market for this, right? And I was listening to Cordero guy, Alex Hermosi. Pretty sure he can quote him,
Dog, first of all, I just want y'all to know, I told Byron like 3 days ago, I said, give it 3 days. You're going to be quoting Alex Hermosi.
Just because you keep talking about it.
No, I think because Byron, I don't know what it is. Byron, you give me way too much credit to say that Alex Hermosi like went to Harvard or something like that. Like, bro went to Harvard. I don't even think I could.
It don't matter.
That dude, I think he on a different level. But I see what you're saying, but I think he on a different level to say that I don't even think I could quote him. Because I'll be listening to this stuff like, damn, that's so profound. Byron be listening to his stuff and saying, sound just like Cordero. I'm like, nah.
It does.
I don't know. Dude is on another level, but to your point, I was on the phone with Laura just called me, asked me about one of those properties, but
okay.
I didn't hear what you were saying, but actually the E-myth, the entrepreneurial myth, is one of my favorite topics in business, just period. Because I, like many people, when I thought about getting into it on the outside looking in, like the entrepreneurial world or owning a business and being successful, that's like its own little bubble. And when you in your 9 to 5 in the matrix in the real world, you on the outside of that bubble thinking, okay, when I get in there, it's going to be like this and it's going to be like that. And then you get in there and it's like nothing like you expected it. Thus, the myth part of it is like it's a myth. And so when I got into it and then I was trying and I finally read the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, it opened my mind to like, dude. So it's one of my favorite topics essentially, but you got to understand Byron I heard him break it down a little bit, but if I can cut hair, that doesn't necessarily mean I will be good at owning a barbershop. It doesn't mean that you won't be good. If I could bake cakes, that doesn't necessarily mean I could run a bakery, but it doesn't mean that you won't be good. One of my favorite concepts in the book is the fact that it's about understanding that when you own a business, you wear many different hats and you essentially, there's like, I love this. Like he has it's like a back and forth. It's like a dialogue between the three different inner personalities within you. You got your entrepreneurial personality, you got your technician, and you got your manager. Correct me if I'm wrong, Byron. It was just those three, or was it any more?
No, I think it was just those. If it's more, then those are the main ones that beginners need to focus on.
Those are definitely the main ones, right? And what I like about the book, well, you got to get the book for sure. But what I like about the concept is that it breaks down this mentality of those are like essentially the three different hats that you're going to wear. And the technician in you is the one that says, hey, I'm good at sales. I'm good at doing this. I need to own my own business, right? And the manager in you is the one that says, well, we need to have structure about how all of these things are done. This is how we need to do this and that and this and that and this and that. But the entrepreneur in you is the one that's like the voice of reason and putting all, well, ultimately, at some point, they're all the voice of reason, depending on what direction you go. The entrepreneur is the creator that says, hey, here's the grand idea. Here's the mountain we need to scale. Let's go scale that mountain. You know what I mean? Let's go climb that wall. And then the managers are like, but if we climb that wall, we got to do this and that and this and that and this and that. And the technician is just only focused on climbing, and that's it, right? And not to confuse you or anything like that, but I just say that to say that you think it's going to be a certain way, but when you get it off into it, there's actually conflicting, not even externally, but within yourself, there's conflicting perspectives on anything that you're going to do. Any venture you take on, any business that you're going to start, you think, okay, I bake cakes, so that's all I need to do. But you realize there's so much more to it. And it's these other hats, they conflict, they clash inside you, right? Within you, that's where the clash happens. So that's where a lot of the struggle be, where people be, 2 years into it. That's what 2 years into it, bashing their head up against the wall, and they don't realize why. And that's why we're so big on it's not just about doing a deal. We're trying to, everything that we're teaching you is about how can we set you up to lay a foundation so that way you can do deals consistently. And because we're keeping that in mind for you, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And the business is way less about skill.
Yeah.
Your skill specifically, and more about the business, right? Because at the end of the day, your skill will have some impact on the business, but your ability to build functional systems and get good people to operate within that system is going to determine the health of that business, right? Having functional systems and putting good people inside of the functional systems is going to determine how healthy your business is, because it's like, dude, and another thing, like Cordero was talking about, and this kind of aligns with the 10X rule that who brought that up? BTW, I think, brought that up. No, Bobby.
Shout out, Bobby, man.
Shout out to Bobby Mack.
Changing event. You read that book, and it's a life changer. Now, the 10X rule, we will need another. This is about the E-Myth today. We'll need a whole nother.
Yeah, but I think they link together because Michael Gerber in that book, he says, man, if you ain't trying to change the world, then you might as well go on back to your 9 to 5. You might as well go ahead and, stop whatever you're doing and just, settle, right? Yeah. Because if you ain't trying to really aim big, you ain't got a shot. Sure. You got no shot, man. That's what you got. Zero shot. Zero. It's like, man, you got to want to go big. You got to think really big. And it can't just be about, just that business. You need to have like a bigger objective. It got to be about more than this, right? Yeah. That's why we're talking like for wholesaling. Like I'm wholesaling, but I'm not like in love with wholesaling real estate. It's like I'm not in love with sales. I'm not in love with, it's like your real goals, your real passions, it has to be about more than just making money. It has to be about more than just the business. Like me, what I want to do is I want to go back and show other people like, dude, you ain't got to be great academically. Can you believe that not being great academically is okay? It's okay.
It's more.
It's okay.
As a matter of fact, and almost most people who are successful in the entrepreneurial world were not. And I noticed that as a consistent pattern. In the beginning, they were not that solid academically.
I'm saying academically, you ain't gotta be great. You ain't gotta be the coolest. You ain't gotta be the smoothest. You ain't gotta be able to talk great.
Right.
And you still can go out here and crush it. It's like, what I'm saying? Just giving kids like that confidence, like that's my drive. Like that, like Grant Cardone say, your obsessions your obsessions. You have to be obsessed with a big goal, something bigger than you, something bigger than the business. Having this big goal to go out here and have a big impact like that, that has to be the overarching. You have to have something that's way above money, way above the business. And you gotta be thinking huge, right?
Yeah.
Because if you ain't thinking big, then you might well go back home. That's what Michael Gerber says, right? It's like if you ain't going 10x, if you ain't Grant Cardone, if you ain't 10x in your goals, going home. Because remember, he was in the book, he talks about how he was getting trained, or he wanted to get trained by one of the greatest piano players or something like that. And he was like, look, man, if you ain't trying to be the greatest, then I'm not even gonna work with you. You can go on back home. If you ain't willing to do this, and be if you ain't trying to be the greatest at this, if you ain't trying to be historic, if you ain't got no crazy big goals, then you might well go on back home. You ain't gonna become nothing, because rain is what they what they saying about rain is gonna descend, the flood is gonna ascend, beat on your house, right? Dude, if you ain't built, like, if it don't mean way more to you than just money, you gonna quit. You know what I'm saying? When it don't mean way more to you, if it's something, you know what I'm saying? If it ain't something that means way more to you than just building a business, you're going to quit. You're never gonna make it. You are never going to make it if it doesn't mean way more for you. That's why you gotta have. That's why you gotta your junk got your thinking or your goals or your why has to be so much bigger than just you. Just your kids, just your this, just your that. It has to be something that you are obsessed with, something that just bothers you. It eats at you. It's like it just automatically just eat at you. You just don't even feel right, when you think about it. It has to be something that automatic as an automatic drive. It creates automatic drive, and that's what your business has to be about, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you will quit.
Yeah. And I think it's like you gotta have whatever will require you to have commitment. And this is in a day and age, in a time in history where commitment is such a farce, such a joke. And that's why we get on here and we talk about how most of our leads are coming from divorce. People not committed, people not even quasi committed to their partner, to their spouse, to the people around them. The only thing that you're not even committed to your 9 to 5, you just go there because you got to pay the bills. And so I think once you tap into that greatness, that great why, that great reason, the greater vision and goal, then that's what helps you tie in the commitment. But one of my favorite things, again, going back to the E-Myth, is that it's not just about in the beginning. What he breaks down in the book is how, like, most people, they start out how I started out, thinking it was going to be a certain way. Now I had the commitment, I had this goal and these grand aspirations, and then I went into it applying what I thought I knew. What I knew, and I didn't in the beginning. I didn't learn anything new, right? And so what I'm saying is the commitment, when you got the commitment, when you got the why, that's what I was saying. It's a fork in the road at every step before you level up. When you go from not doing any deals to doing your first deal, when you go from just doing one deal to doing consistent deals every month, when you go from doing consistent deals a month to multiple deals in a single month, 100K months, et cetera, it's always okay, I got as far as I am with the knowledge that I have now. Now, in order to break free from that and go ascend and go to the next level, I need to be willing to unlearn something or just learn something new or evolve my way of thinking. And he breaks that down, I think, very masterfully in the E-Myth Revisited. Michael Gerber does. But what I'm saying is, once you get to that level, what most people do is it's like you're gonna be hard headed because it's supposed to work like this. It's supposed to work how I thought it was gonna work. It's supposed to work on my terms, how I wanted to work with the knowledge that I have today. That's how it's supposed to work because that's how I thought. No, but when you committed to it, when you have a greater why, when it just bothers you, I don't care how it works. I just need it to work. You're less concerned with, okay, I'm supposed to call 10 people and it's supposed to work to, you switch your mind and like, okay, how many people do I need to call? You say I need to call 100 people, I'll call 100. You say I need to call 1,000 people, 10,000 people before I get my next deal. I will call 10,000 people and I'll figure out how to call 10,000 people consistently, if that's what it takes. You go from thinking it needs to work on my terms to switching it and saying, I'm so committed to it working, I don't care how it works. I'm trying to learn instead of just trying to inflict my will on this. That's what I think a lot of people do. That's what the same thing is like I remember when I was trying to start my fitness journey and I was trying to get in shape. What I thought was, okay, I was going to eat a certain way and I was going to work out. Or no, really what I thought was I was going to work out and I ain't had to change how I ate.
Yeah.
Really, that's what I thought. I was just like, well, if I go to the gym and do if I run my little 1 mile, I should be able to get in shape. It's like, no. Then it got to a point where I was like, man, dude, I don't care about it being my way. I'm just so committed to the end goal, to the end result, because there's something that's motivating deep inside me that's moving me. Then I was just like, okay, now I got to start learning. Now I learned about macros and count my macronutrients and working out, burning calories, doing all of that. And then that's when it started to shift. But what I'm saying is most people, when you gotta make the shift, that's when that's when you turn the other way. That's when you go back to where you was at, because then now it requires you to actually battle that internal person. You can fight people outside all day, but when you got to fight yourself and win the battle, that's when people are like, all right, I'm about to just turn back around, go back to my old job. That's where people get creative with they avoiding what they know they need to do. They'd be like, what you need to do, it's right there. You need to diet. You can't just exercise and outbeat a poor diet. You can't do that, right? And so the book talks about, it does a good job with pulling you into the mindset of an individual who's been doing it, who already got themselves trapped because they thought, well, I'm a good baker. I should be able to have my own business because I can bake the best pies. But you realize it's like, well, now you've just created a business centered around you, and only you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then now you've created where if you don't feel like it, if you do feel like it, if you can perform, if you can't perform, then that is a direct correlation to the success your business has. And we all know how we feel and what we go through, and just life is so mercurial. It's like when you're going through stuff, it's like you cannot depend on your own self alone. And now, not only that, you're depending on yourself to be the technician, which is in this case, it'll be the baker, the one who bakes all the pies, mops the floors, does all the you're also the cashier, you're also the money counter, the bookkeeper, you're also the person, the CEO, the entrepreneur. You're also supposed to be the person, the visionary that says, okay, we need to go into this new market. How are you going to do that if you always baking the pies and stuff like that? And so what you realize is just like, it's literally almost nearly impossible to scale and to grow when you build a business based upon your own skill set. And so he talks about that. And I think the one thing that you have to learn is what I'm getting at is you got to learn. Here's the skill set that you have to learn to get to the next level, is how to build a team, is how to build a business, how to put stuff in the right place and then put the people in those places so that way you can grow. And you actually made a machine. It's like trying to outrun a car. It's like, how can I run faster and faster and faster? Or how can I build a machine that will help me go faster? Yeah. Notice how mankind did it. We didn't just say, man, how can we get faster on running? Then we was like, let's add horses into the mix. And at a certain point, we was just like, okay, these horses ain't working. You know, they fast, but let's add automobiles. Let's build an actual machine around our speed. And this has evolved greater and greater and greater. And the machines have evolved more and more and more. But ultimately, it's just like you cannot do it all on your own. But I know some of y'all thinking, well, I got me, and I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna be like Byron when he first started his YouTube channel, just him, 100K month, 100K month, 100K month. And what you don't realize is that right there is you holding on to that expectation of how it should be. Once you get confronted by reality, and reality say that's not how it's gonna work, my guy. That's where you be like, all right, I'm just gonna give up because it's not working how I thought it should. Not because it don't work, but because it's not working how you thought it should. And you either give up or you learn some more and build and grow your understanding and keep pushing.
Well,
but you
can't
unless you got real solid commitment.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like you're gonna get hit in the mouth.
You are gonna get
hit. To get hit in the mouth.
Hey, what Mike Tyson said.
Everybody got playing until they get hit. Like, dude, you're gonna get hit in the mouth.
Yeah,
it's like, you know, that's the thing, man. You're going to. So it's like it has to be something bigger than you. I was telling people I went to the school. I was telling Kadar I went to the school, gave away like chicken biscuits, stuff like that to the teachers. And they was, you know, asking me about, you know, the business stuff like that. Like, what am I trying to do now? I'm like, dude, it's like, what are you doing here? It's like, yeah, it's because it's more than about just business, more than about just selling and buying houses, more than about that. Like, it's bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? It's like making money, yeah, that's cool, but then what? It's like it has to be something that's bigger than that. So, like, I think that's huge. You really do have to focus on, you know, something bigger than just the business. You know, it has to have a why. It has to have a purpose. Why are you trying to do this? Why do you want to do that? It has to be something that drives you, that makes you obsessed, right? It has to be something that makes you obsessed, because you're not obsessed. Like Grant Cardone said, you're going to be obsessed or you're going to be average, right? Yeah. You're either going to be obsessed or you're going to be average. Like, you ain't going to be both. You're not going to be obsessed and average. You're either going to be obsessed or you're going to be average. That's why you see like people, like I'm going to the gym every day. It's like, dude, you see dudes cut up, build up, all that stuff. You know, most dudes, you know what I'm saying? If you up in there, you either obsessed or you average. You know what I'm saying? All the in between stuff about cut out. It's like, dude, either you showing up every day or you almost ain't hardly showing up at all. It's like that. It's just one way or the other, man. It's like,
what I'm saying too, I think that's a great point, is it's like those people in there, when you look at them and they got that physique, is those people also, their obsession is outside the gym. They done got so obsessed with it to the point where like they if it's 1 grain of rice over, you know what I mean? Like they take that piece of rice off their plate. Like, that's how obsessed. And in the beginning, you might look at those people like, dang, he might lift heavy weights. It's more than that. The dude, he done got beyond just, it's just heavy weights, to his technique is on point. Everything that he eat, his diet, the amount of water, they know how much sodium that they taking in, all of that stuff. It's like, that's what obsession really looks like outside of what you can see.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, it said a person who I didn't even expect to support me stepped up, and because of her, I was able to grab my list. I'm forever thankful, but I have to build my foundation first. Yeah, no doubt, man. And you're talking about wholesaling, your foundation needs to be them cash buyers. So faith is process. It's process, not progress. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, you got to fall in love with the process. That's for sure. Event says real talk, man. I'm telling you, this E-Myth really changed everything for me, because, and this was before I even had a business or anything. Before I did one deal, like, it just gave me the concept of what business really is. It's really creating systems and putting people in the right seats. And if somebody in the wrong seat, you got to pick them up, move them quick. and can get, you know what I'm saying, either get them out or put somebody in that right seat, you know. Because when you got somebody in the wrong seat, man, your company bleeding, you just bleed. What you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? You gotta stop it. You know. So, but yeah, man. I mean, I just think that that book is big. And another thing, it's like one other quote that a lot of people quote is, "As much as your business depends on you, you don't have a business." You know
Don't
what
have
I'm saying? So, like, if the business depends on you to do something, then you ain't got no business. Because what happens when I
you
show
get,
up
you get COVID.
or disappear, fall off the face of the earth? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what happens? What happens?
Your business died.
Your business die if it depends on you, right? It has to be able to continue to run. Like
Yeah.
if I just fell off to that, like, dude, I could disappear for a week and I could come back and both of my business still gonna be pumping. Like people may be calling me trying to ask some questions, but at the end of the day, it's like they know how to move it along. You know what I'm saying?
I have
It's
a
still
couple contracts. You
yes,
might, you might disappear for a week, come back richer.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
well, look, show.
and trucking, there's still gonna be loads being taken. There's still gonna be money being made. People still gonna get paid. It's like it's gonna keep going, right? And real estate, there's still gonna be marketing. There's still gonna be people being put under contract. There's still gonna be people looking for buyers for those properties and getting them money. It's like it's still gonna keep going. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest thing is the fact that the E-Myth is going to show you how to go from um, being a solopreneur, a one man show. Basically, if you don't got a business, you just got a job, and it's a worse job than your 9 to 5 because it's not 9 to 5. It's 25 to 8. Really, if you don't have somebody, if you don't have other people and the actual systems in place, and so it tells you how to go from that to actually owning a business because that's what you want to do. None of us started out when we was on the outside looking in, thinking, "Man, I want to be a slave to my company."
Yeah.
Solo, I want to be a one man show, and I want to be a slave to it, and I want to make a lot of money. It's like you can only make so much. You can only go. You can only run as fast with your 2 legs as you can go. But if you get a car, then you can always put a new engine and transmission and make that thing go faster and faster. They got technology out there that's got cars driving themselves and they can drive fast. And it's just like, pretty soon we're going to be iRobot on the interstate.
You're crazy.
If you driving your car, you the crazy one. Like, what you mean you're going to take over? The cars do that. And so you need to, I think that's just something that I would imagine if we watch a lot of newer cats is watching this. You might not have done a deal yet at all. So keep this in mind. You're probably thinking that it's going to be just you, and it's not. It's not even supposed to be. Read the email. The 10X rule is going to how you wrap your mind around. Okay, me, I'm the heartbeat of the company. I can pump faster and faster and faster, and I'm gonna go as hard as I can possibly go. But you need also the E-Myth and read that book and get that concept in you to balance out this thought of it's not just me though. I need to run an entire business. I need to have a business because we've talked about it before. You can get like a book like Traction, where essentially Traction is just basically the E-Myth, but it's more detailed. It's actually like a manual, like the operating manual to a business. But the E-Myth like really talks to you like psychologically and gives you an anecdote, a real story, so you can paint the picture and try to mentally pull you out of that and pull you out of the wrong mindset of I'm a solo. I can cut hair, so I'm gonna own a barbershop. I can do nails. I'm gonna become a lash tech, and you're not, dog. If your business depends on you, how could you ever retire?
Yeah.
How could you ever retire? And so just get that in you and just realize the difference. There's a major difference between I'm doing everything by myself and I have a business.
Yeah. For sure, man. I think that's big, and I think that's the bolts of the E myth, right? It's
Yeah.
like the entrepreneurial myth that you should start a bakery because you're good at baking. The entrepreneurial myth that you know you're gonna be working in your business. Like, dude, no, you need to work on the business and not in the business.
Yeah.
And you can look up, like I used to look up like early on in my business, like, hey, am I working on the business or in the business? And it's kind of hard to do both at the same time. You have to like set aside, like, hold on, stop working in the business and work on the business because you have to put together systems to get yourself out. You see what I'm saying? And that way you can get somebody else in. And then that great person that you got in, you have to formulate a system to replace that person. How is that person replaced? Right? It has to be where that person can be replaced.
Yeah.
And what's the system? What's the routine on how do we replace that person? Once you get all those routines down, then that's when you're really able to, roll because you got to be able to, get people in and get people out if they're not working. But but yeah, man, I just wanted to go through today and talk about the email just because there's a lot of people that might be wanting to get in entrepreneurship, but it's like, man, do you really know what you get into? Do you really know? Like, you gotta. It's like the bigger you think, the easier it's gonna be. You gotta think big at the beginning. You gotta think that if you're running some crazy, humongous company at the beginning, you gotta think that way from the beginning. Think big, go hard, have a humongous wide a drive because if you're not obsessed, you're never gonna make it. Right? Not obsessed, you're never gonna make it. And you got to be obsessed with any goal worth having. You better be obsessed, right? So, but yeah, man. But shoot, man, we've been in this thing 36 minutes, man. A little bit later than what we usually are, and we got to get up out of this thing because I know Cordero probably got to get back to work. I got to get back to doing my thing, and shoot, we're gonna be back tomorrow, though, man. If you like the video, comment below. If you want to know more about the E-Myth, revisit it. Comment below. I'll probably try to drop a link down in the description for the book, the E-Myth Revisited, and that's by Michael Gerber. So go check that out, and man, we'll see y'all tomorrow.